My best friend abandoned 3 children on my doorstep with $10,000 and a note, then disappeared for 15 years. Now she wants them back, and I'm about to tell you why that's never going to happen. Let me take you back to where this nightmare started. Picture this, it's a Friday evening, I'm in my kitchen making dinner for my 5 kids, when my phone rings. It's Shanice, my homegirl since high school, the kind of friend who knew all my secrets and I knew hers. She sounds different though, kind of rushed, kind of breathless in a way that makes my stomach tighten even before she asks the question. Hey girl, I know this is last minute, but can you watch the kids tonight? I got a date and my babysitter cancelled. Now, Shanice had 3 kids. Little Terrell was 4 years old, smart as a whip, always asking questions about everything. Then there were the twins, Amara and Khalil, just 2 years old and cute as buttons. And me? I already had 5 kids of my own ranging from 2 to 12 years old. But this is what we did for each other, right? We showed up. We helped. We didn't ask questions. Of course, girl. Bring them over. What I didn't know, what I couldn't have possibly known as I stirred that pot of spaghetti sauce, was that I had just agreed to become a mother of 8. Not temporarily. Not for a weekend. Forever. Shanice dropped the kids off around 7 that evening. I remember Terrell was wearing his favorite Spider-Man shirt, and the twins were already in their pajamas, clutching stuffed animals. Shanice was dressed up, makeup done, hair laid, smelling like expensive perfume. She looked good, better than I'd seen her look in months actually. She'd been struggling, I knew that. Single mother, 3 kids, working retail, barely making ends meet. I figured she deserved a night out, a chance to feel like a woman instead of just somebody's mama. Thank you so much, she said, kissing each of her kids on the forehead. I owe you big time. Girl, go have fun. We'll be fine. I watched her walk to her car, watched her drive away, and took the kids inside. My own children were excited. Cousins were visiting, basically. They set up movies, pulled out toys, made pallets on the living room floor. It was chaos, but it was happy chaos. The kind of noise that fills a home and makes it feel alive. Day 1 passed. Then day 2. No call. No text. No check-in. Now, let me tell you something about Shanice. She was a lot of things, but she wasn't irresponsible when it came to her kids. She called. She checked in. She worried. So when day 3 hit and my phone stayed silent, I started to panic. I called her cell, straight to voicemail. Called again, same thing. Called her mama, who said she hadn't heard from her either. Called her sister, who seemed confused and said Shanice told her she was taking the kids to visit me for the weekend. My hands were shaking when I called the police. I filed a missing person report. Told them everything I knew. They said they'd check her apartment, and did I want to come? Hell yes, I wanted to come. I needed to see for myself. Maybe she was hurt. Maybe she was lying in that apartment, unable to call for help. Maybe something terrible had happened. I got my neighbor to watch all 8 kids and met the police at Shanice's apartment complex. My heart was hammering as they knocked. No answer. They knocked again. Nothing. The apartment manager came with keys, hands fumbling as she unlocked the door. The police went in first, and I followed right behind them. The apartment was empty. Not empty like nobody's home. Empty like somebody moved out. The furniture was still there, but all of Shanice's personal items were gone. Her clothes, her photos, her shoes, her makeup, everything that made the space hers had vanished. But here's what made my blood run cold. All 3 of the kids' rooms were untouched. Their toys, their clothes, their beds, their everything was still there, like she'd carefully preserved their spaces while erasing herself from existence. And on the kitchen counter, held down by a coffee mug, was an envelope with my name on it. My hands trembled as I picked it up. The police watched as I opened it. Inside was a letter and a stack of $100 bills. I counted later. $10,000 exactly. But first, I had to read what she wrote. And let me tell you, I've been mad in my life. I've been hurt. I've been disappointed. But nothing, and I mean nothing, prepared me for the rage that consumed me as I read her words. The letter started with, "I'm sorry." 2 words that mean absolutely nothing when you read what comes after them. She wrote that she was depressed. That being a single mother was too hard. That she felt like she was drowning every single day. That she couldn't do it anymore. That she needed to find herself, to live her life, to be a person again instead of just a mother. And then the part that still makes my jaw clench 15 years later, she wrote that she knew I could handle it. That I was better at being a mother than she ever was. That the $10,000 should help. That she'd stay in touch. That she loved her kids but she loved herself too, and she had to choose herself this time. Choose herself. Like motherhood is something you can just opt out of when it gets hard. Before we continue, if you're enjoying this story, please hit that subscribe button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I see every single comment, and it means the world to me. Thank you so much for your support. Now back to the story. I stood in that empty apartment, holding that letter, $10,000 in cash, and the weight of 3 abandoned children on my shoulders, and I wanted to scream. The police were asking me questions. Did I know where she might have gone? Did she have family in other states? Did she mention anything? But I couldn't focus. All I could think about was little Terrell asking me that morning when his mama was coming back, and me telling him soon, baby, soon, while having no idea that soon was never going to come. The police filed their report. Abandonment. They'd look for her, they said, but adults have the right to leave. Child Protective Services would need to be contacted. The kids would likely go into the system unless I could take them. Take them. Like it was that simple. Like I wasn't already stretched thin with 5 kids. Like $10,000 was some kind of fortune that would magically make raising 3 more children easy. Like I had a choice at all, because here's the truth. The moment I looked at those police officers and thought about 4-year-old Terrell and 2-year-old Amara and Khalil going to foster care, going to strangers, being separated maybe, I knew there was only one choice I could live with. I'll take them, I heard myself say. I'll keep them. The police looked relieved. CPS looked relieved. Everyone looked relieved except me, because I was the one who had to go home and explain to 3 babies that their mama wasn't coming back. I was the one who had to figure out how to feed 8 mouths instead of 5. I was the one whose entire life had just been derailed by someone else's decision to abandon their responsibilities. I went home that night and I didn't tell the kids right away. How do you tell a 4-year-old that his mother chose herself over him? How do you explain to 2-year-olds that the person they need most in the world decided they needed space more? So I didn't. I let them think it was an extended sleepover. I let them think Mama was coming back. And every night when Terrell asked, every night when the twins cried for her, I died a little inside while promising them she'd be home soon. But days turned into weeks, and I couldn't lie anymore. I sat Terrell down, this tiny 4-year-old with the biggest brown eyes, and I told him as gently as I could that his mama had to go away for a while, but that he and his siblings were going to stay with me. That I was going to take care of them. That they were safe. That they were loved. He looked at me with those eyes and asked, "Did we do something bad?" And right there, my heart shattered into a million pieces. Because that's what abandonment does to children. It makes them think they're the problem. It makes them carry guilt for someone else's selfishness. "No, baby," I told him, pulling him into my arms. "You didn't do anything wrong. Nothing at all. Sometimes grown-ups make choices that don't make sense, but that's not your fault. You hear me? None of this is your fault." But even as I said it, I wondered if he believed me. I wondered if he'd ever believe it. The first year was hell. Pure, unfiltered hell. That $10,000? Gone in 8 months. Food for 8 kids. Clothes for 8 kids. School supplies. Medical appointments. Emergency room visits when Khalil fell and needed stitches. Therapy for Terrell, who started having nightmares and behavioral issues at school. The twins refusing to sleep unless I was in the room because they were terrified I'd disappear too. I was working 2 jobs, running on 3 hours of sleep, and drowning in responsibility I never asked for but couldn't walk away from. And Shanice? 6 months after she vanished, a postcard arrived in the mail. A beach in Miami. Crystal blue water. Palm trees. And on the back, in her handwriting, "Living my best life. Hope the kids are good. Love, Mom." I stared at that postcard for 20 minutes straight. Love, Mom. Like she had any right to that title. Like you can call yourself a mother from a beach in Miami while someone else raises your children. But here's what that postcard told me, what every postcard that came after told me: Shanice wasn't lost. She wasn't hurt. She wasn't struggling. She was fine. She was living. She was free. And we were here, trapped in the wreckage of her choices. So let me ask you this. If someone abandons their children, misses every important moment, sends postcards instead of child support, and then shows up 15 years later wanting forgiveness and access, do they deserve a second chance? Or are some doors meant to stay closed forever? 15 years. 15 years of postcards from beaches and cities I couldn't afford to visit. 15 years of raising someone else's children while she lived her best life. And then, on a Tuesday morning that started like any other, she had the audacity to show up at my front door like she never left. But let me back up, because you need to understand how we got here. You need to understand what those 15 years looked like while Shanice was out finding herself. Terrell grew up angry. Not the kind of anger that explodes and gets you in trouble, but the quiet kind that eats you from the inside. He threw himself into school, made straight A's, got a full scholarship to college, and now he's in his second year studying engineering. On paper, he's thriving. But I see what nobody else sees. I see how he doesn't let people get close. I see how he flinches when someone says the word mother. I see how he's built walls so high that even love has trouble climbing over them. That's what abandonment does. It doesn't just leave you once. It leaves you over and over again every time you try to trust someone new. The twins, Amara and Khalil, they don't even remember Shanice. Not really. Sometimes Amara says she has these fuzzy memories, like dreams she can't quite hold on to, but Khalil? Nothing. I'm the only mother he's ever known. I'm the one who potty trained him, taught him to tie his shoes, sat up with him when he had nightmares, cheered at his soccer games, helped him with algebra homework. Me. Not her. And now they're 17, about to graduate high school, standing on the edge of their whole lives, and she thinks she can just walk back in and claim them? The postcards kept coming over the years. Spain. Thailand. Los Angeles. New York. Each one with the same generic message. Thinking of you. Love, Mom. Never a phone number. Never a return address. Never an apology or acknowledgement of what she'd done. Just proof that she was out there living while we were here surviving. And here's what really gets me. People in the neighborhood knew. Our church knew. Family knew. And you know what they said? At least she left them with someone who loves them. Like I should be grateful. Like $10,000 and a pile of trauma was some kind of gift. Nobody wanted to call it what it was: abandonment. Neglect. Selfishness wrapped up in the language of self-care and mental health. I'm not saying depression isn't real. I'm not saying single motherhood isn't hard. I was a single mother to 5 kids when she dumped 3 more on me. But you know what I didn't do? Disappear. You know what I did? I showed up. Every single day. Even when I was exhausted. Even when I was broke. Even when I wanted to scream or cry or give up. I showed up because that's what mothers do. So when that letter arrived 3 months ago, when I saw her handwriting on that envelope after 15 years of nothing but postcards, something cold settled in my chest. Terrell was home from college for the weekend. The twins were in the living room doing homework. I gathered them together and read it out loud. Dear family, it started. Family. Like we were all one big happy unit. I know it's been a long time, and I know I have a lot to explain. I'm in a better place now, mentally and emotionally. I've been in therapy, I'm in a healthy relationship, and I'm finally ready to be the mother I should have been. I want to come see the kids. I want to be part of their lives again. They're my children, and I miss them every day. I hope we can move forward together. Love, Shanice. The silence that followed was deafening. Then Terrell laughed. Not a happy laugh. A bitter, sharp sound that made my heart hurt. Is she serious right now? He said. 15 years. 15 years of nothing, and she thinks she can just come back. Amara was crying quietly, and Khalil looked confused, like he was trying to process who this person even was. And me? I was furious. But I kept my voice steady because this wasn't my decision to make. It was theirs. What do you want to do? I asked them. She's asking to visit. You're old enough to decide. Terrell's answer was immediate. No. Absolutely not. She's not my mother. You are. Amara wiped her eyes and nodded. I don't want to see her. I don't even know her. Khalil took longer, and I could see him working through it in his head. Finally, he said, what would we even talk about? Everything she missed? How do you catch someone up on 17 years? So I wrote back. A short, simple response. The kids have decided they're not ready to meet with you. Please respect their decision. I thought that would be the end of it. I should have known better. 2 weeks later, I'm coming home from work, tired down to my bones, and there's a car in my driveway I don't recognize. A nice car. Sleek, new, the kind of car that screams I'm doing well for myself. And leaning against it, looking like she just stepped out of a magazine, is Shanice. 15 years had been kind to her. She looked younger somehow, like she'd shed the weight of motherhood and found some fountain of youth. Her hair was styled, her clothes were expensive, her skin was glowing. She looked like someone who'd been taking care of herself. And I looked like what I was, a woman who'd raised 8 children on her own, worked 2 jobs for 15 years, and had the gray hair and exhaustion to prove it. She smiled when she saw me. Smiled. Like this was a happy reunion. Hey girl, she said, like we were still homegirls, like 15 years of abandonment hadn't happened. I know you said the kids weren't ready, but I was in town and I thought I'd stop by. I really need to see them. I need to see them. Not they need to see me. Not I need to apologize to them. I need to see them. Like this was about her needs. Still. Always. They said no, Shanice. My voice was ice. You need to leave. Just 5 minutes, she pressed. I came all this way. You came all this way? The laugh that came out of me was ugly. You've been gone 15 years. You've been to Spain, Thailand, New York, Los Angeles, every place except here. You've been everywhere but where your children needed you. And now you want 5 minutes. Before she could respond, the front door opened. Terrell stood there, home for the weekend again, and the look on his face when he saw her was something I'll never forget. Not anger. Not sadness. Nothing. Complete and total indifference, like she was a stranger asking for directions. You need to leave, he said, his voice flat. Terrell, Shanice breathed, and I heard the emotion in her voice, saw tears gathering in her eyes. Look at you. You're so grown up. So handsome. I've missed you so much. You don't get to miss me, Terrell said, and his voice was steady but hard. You don't get to leave for 15 years and then show up talking about what you miss. You know what I missed? Having a mother at my 5th birthday party. At my middle school graduation. When I got my first girlfriend and my first heartbreak. When I got my college acceptance letter. You missed all of that because you chose to. So no, you don't get to stand here and talk about what you miss. I watched Shanice's face crumble, but before she could speak, the twins appeared behind Terrell. Amara's hand was on Khalil's shoulder, and they stood there united, staring at the woman who gave birth to them but never raised them. These are my children? Shanice whispered, looking at the twins. They're so big. They're not your children, Terrell said. Not in any way that matters. You're a stranger who happens to share our DNA. That's it. Now here's where it gets interesting, because Shanice's tears dried up real quick, and I saw something flicker across her face. Anger. Like she had any right to be angry. I had severe depression, she said, her voice rising. I was drowning. I would have been a terrible mother if I'd stayed. I did the selfless thing by leaving you with someone who could actually take care of you. Selfless. She really said that word. Selfless. You know what's selfless? I heard myself say. Staying. Working 2 jobs. Missing sleep. Sacrificing your own dreams to raise children who aren't even yours. That's selfless. Running away is the opposite. I left $10,000, she shot back. That's more than most people would do. And there it was. Her trump card. The money she thought erased everything. If you're watching this and you think $10,000 over 15 years for 3 children is enough, let me do the math for you. That's about $666 per child per year. $55 per child per month. Less than $2 per child per day. You can't even buy a Happy Meal for $2 anymore, but somehow that was supposed to cover 15 years of food, clothes, school supplies, medical care, therapy, and everything else children need? Before we continue, I need you to do something for me. Hit that like button if you think Shanice has some nerve showing up after all this time. Drop a comment telling me if you think the kids are right to reject her or if everyone deserves a second chance. And make sure you're subscribed because Act 3 is going to blow your mind. Now let's get back to this confrontation. That $10,000 was gone in less than a year, I told her, my voice shaking with rage I'd been holding back for 15 years. Do you want to know what it really cost to raise your children? Do you want to know how many nights I stayed up worried about how I'd pay the electric bill? How many times I went without so they could have? How many times I chose between my own kids' needs and your kids' needs and had to figure out how to meet all of them? I was sick, she insisted. I had mental health issues. I needed help. Then you get help, Terrell interjected. You go to therapy. You ask family for support. You find resources. You don't abandon your kids with a note and disappear for 15 years sending postcards from vacation spots. Depression doesn't make you post pictures on beaches. That's just selfishness. Shanice turned to him, and I saw her strategy shift. She softened her voice, tried to look vulnerable. I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But I'm better now. I'm ready to be your mother. We can build a relationship. I can be there for your college graduation, for the twins' high school graduation, for everything that comes next. You want to be there for the easy parts, Amara said, speaking for the first time. Her voice was quiet but steady. The celebrations. The proud moments. But you missed the hard parts. You missed when Khalil broke his arm and was scared. You missed when I had anxiety attacks in middle school and didn't want to go to school. You missed when Terrell got bullied and came home crying. You missed all the parts that make you actually earn the title of mother. Khalil nodded. I don't even remember you. When I think of the word mom, I see her face. He pointed at me. Not yours. You're just a person in some old pictures. And I'm okay with that. I watched Shanice realize she was losing. You could see it in her eyes, the desperation creeping in. And that's when she said the thing that made me see red. I'm their legal mother. I have rights. If you turn them against me, I can get a lawyer. I never terminated my parental rights. The threat hung in the air like poison. After everything, after 15 years of silence, after showing up uninvited, after minimizing her abandonment, she was now threatening legal action. But here's what she didn't know. Here's what she couldn't have known. I'd been prepared for this moment for years. I'd talked to lawyers. I'd documented everything. Every postcard. Every penny I spent. Every therapy session. Every moment she missed. I had 15 years of evidence of abandonment. And more importantly, I had 3 young adults who were old enough to speak for themselves in court. Get a lawyer, I said calmly. Please do. Let's go to court. Let's let a judge hear about how you abandoned 3 children, sent postcards from vacations instead of child support, and showed up 15 years later expecting instant forgiveness. Let's let a judge hear from these 3 brave young people about how they feel. I welcome it. The color drained from her face because she knew. She knew she had no ground to stand on. Legal rights mean nothing when you've abandoned them for 15 years. But she wasn't done yet. Oh no. Because wounded narcissists always have one more move. And what she did next. That's when things went from tense to absolutely nuclear. She pulled out her phone, held it up, and I saw she was recording. You're keeping me from my children, she said loudly, clearly performing for the camera. I've been trying to reconnect, and you're turning them against me. Everyone can see this isn't right. And that's when I realized what she was really doing. She wasn't here for reconciliation. She was here for content. For sympathy. For the ability to play victim on social media and say she tried but the mean woman who took her kids wouldn't let her be a mother. So here's my question for you. When someone abandons their children, misses every hard moment, threatens legal action when they don't get their way, and then tries to weaponize social media to play victim, what do they really deserve? Justice? Or consequences? Because what happened next changed everything. You want to know what I did when she stood there recording me, trying to make me the villain? I pulled out my own phone. Because if she wanted to play the social media game, I had 15 years of receipts she didn't know existed. Keep that camera rolling, I said, my voice steady. Because I'm about to show you something. I opened my files, the ones I'd been keeping since day one. The folder was labeled simply, Evidence. Inside were photos of every postcard she'd sent. Receipts for every expense. Medical records. Therapy bills. School transcripts. College acceptance letters. 15 years of documentation proving exactly who raised these children and who didn't. You want to post your version online? I held my phone up. Go ahead. But I'll post mine too. Every postcard from every beach while I was working 2 jobs. Every dollar I spent while you sent nothing. Every milestone you missed while you were finding yourself. So please, Shanice, let's let the internet decide who the villain really is. Her face went pale. The phone in her hand lowered slowly, and for the first time since she'd shown up, I saw fear in her eyes. Not of me. Of the truth. Of what would happen when people saw the full story, not just her edited version. I didn't come here to fight, she said, her voice suddenly smaller. No, Terrell cut in. You came here to take. Just like you always do. Take credit. Take sympathy. Take whatever makes you feel better about what you did. But you can't take us. We're not yours anymore. Shanice looked at her children, really looked at them, maybe for the first time since she'd arrived. And I saw something crack in her face. Not remorse exactly. More like realization. The understanding that she'd lost something that couldn't be gotten back. I was sick, she whispered, tears finally coming. Real ones this time. I really was depressed. I really couldn't handle it. Then you should have gotten help, Amara said quietly. Real help. Not a plane ticket away from your problems. You should have called family. Gone to therapy. Asked for support. Instead, you ran. And now you want us to fix what you broke. But Mom already did that. She gestured to me. She fixed us. We're not broken anymore. And we don't need you to come back and mess that up. The word Mom hung in the air. Not directed at Shanice. Directed at me. And I saw that hit her harder than anything else we'd said. Because that's what she'd really lost. Not just 15 years. Not just their childhood. She'd lost the title. The role. The place in their hearts that I now occupied. I'm sorry, Shanice said, and this time it sounded genuine. I'm so sorry. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought leaving them with you was better than staying and being a terrible mother. You know what would have been better? Khalil spoke up, his voice calm but firm. Being an imperfect mother who tried. We didn't need you to be perfect. We needed you to be present. And you chose not to be. Shanice nodded slowly, tears streaming down her face now. She put her phone away. The recording had stopped. The performance was over. What stood before us now was just a broken woman who'd made terrible choices and was finally seeing the consequences. Can I ask you something? She said, looking at me. Did you ever think about giving up on them? The question surprised me. But I answered honestly. Every day. Every single day I thought about how much easier my life would be if I hadn't said yes to watching them that night. Every time money was tight, every time I was exhausted, every time I had to choose between my kids and your kids, I thought about it. I paused. But thinking about giving up and actually doing it are 2 different things. You don't get points for thoughts. You get them for actions. And I stayed. That's the difference between us. She nodded again, wiping her face. You're a better person than me. No, I said. I'm just a person who understood what commitment means. You could have been that person too. You chose not to be. Shanice looked at her children one more time. Can I just say one thing to them? Please? I looked at the kids. They nodded, but stayed close together, united. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, Shanice began. I know I lost the right to be called your mother. I know I messed up in ways I can never fix. But I want you to know that leaving you wasn't about you. It was never about you not being enough or not being lovable or anything being wrong with you. It was about me being broken and not knowing how to fix myself without destroying everything around me. I should have done it differently. I should have stayed and fought through it. But I didn't, and I have to live with that. She took a shaky breath. I'm not asking you to let me back in. I'm not asking for a relationship. I'm just asking that you know the truth. You were always enough. You were always worthy of love. And I'm grateful that you found it, even if it wasn't from me. The silence that followed was heavy but not hostile. Just sad. Sad for what could have been. Sad for the mother they never got to have and the children she never got to know. Thank you for saying that, Terrell finally said. It doesn't change anything. But thank you. Shanice nodded. She walked to her car, got in, and this time when she drove away, it felt different. Final. Like she understood this time that the door was closed and it was staying closed. We stood on that porch together, watching her leave, and Amara leaned her head on my shoulder. Did we do the right thing? She asked. Yes, I said without hesitation. You protected yourselves. That's always the right thing. Do you think she'll actually leave us alone now? Khalil wondered. I think she finally understands she lost, I said. Not because we're mean or unforgiving, but because she lost the right to be in your lives when she walked away from them. We went inside. Life continued. Dinner needed to be made. Homework needed to be done. The world kept turning, just like it had for 15 years without her. 3 months passed. Terrell went back to college. The twins graduated high school with honors, both giving speeches that mentioned the woman who raised them, not the woman who gave birth to them. I sat in that audience crying proud tears, watching them walk across that stage, thinking about 4-year-old Terrell and 2-year-old twins showing up at my door all those years ago. On graduation day, an envelope arrived in the mail. Shanice's handwriting. I almost didn't open it. But curiosity won. Inside was a check. Not for $10,000 this time. For $50,000. And a note that said, I know this doesn't make up for anything. I know money can't replace time or presence or love. But it's what I have to give. Please use it for their college expenses or whatever they need. I won't contact them again. You were right about everything. Thank you for being the mother I couldn't be. I stared at that check for a long time. Part of me wanted to tear it up. Throw it away. Tell her to keep her money. But the practical part of me, the part that had struggled financially for 15 years, knew that pride was expensive. This money could help with college. Could give these kids opportunities. Could ease some burden. I deposited the check. Split it 3 ways. Put it in accounts for each of them. And then I wrote back my last communication with Shanice. I accept this not as payment for what you owe, because you could never pay that debt. I accept it as acknowledgement. As you're finally taking financial responsibility. The kids will use it for their futures. Goodbye, Shanice. Today, Terrell is about to graduate college. The twins are thriving in their freshman year at different universities. They're building lives. Making choices. Becoming adults. And not once in the past 2 years has Shanice tried to contact them. She kept her word. She stayed away. Do I think she's a villain? No. I think she's a cautionary tale. A reminder that running from your problems doesn't solve them. That mental health struggles don't excuse abandonment. That children deserve better than postcards and excuses. But here's what I really want you to understand. This story isn't about revenge. It never was. It's about boundaries. It's about consequences. It's about children having the right to protect themselves from people who hurt them, even if those people are their parents. It's about the fact that forgiveness doesn't mean relationship, and biology doesn't guarantee family. Those 3 kids taught me something important. They taught me that healing doesn't require reconciliation. That you can wish someone well from a distance. That closing a door isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. So here's my final question for you, and I really want you to think about this. If someone causes you pain, are you obligated to let them back in just because they say they've changed? Or do you have the right to say no, to protect your peace, to choose yourself the way they once chose themselves? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Tell me if you think the kids did the right thing or if everyone deserves unlimited chances. Hit that subscribe button because I share real stories about real people making hard choices. Smash that like button if this story made you feel something. And share this with someone who needs to hear that they're allowed to close doors that should stay closed. Your engagement literally keeps this channel alive, so don't just watch and leave, participate. Be part of this community. I'll see you in the next story, and trust me, you won't want to miss it.